Hello! We have 3 stories today of the very best bangers from AITA, or Am I the Jerk, over the last week. Selected by yours truly, of course, so we're continuing on with our train of fun and skipping the dramatic stuff in favor of video games, laying out in the sun by the pool, and oodles of delicious junk food. And while I haven't really had time in the last year or so, but your girl used to love her some video gamey running and gunning, strafing out from behind the corner and boom, headshot. Battlefield Cece adds another dog tag to her collection, which is why I empathize with our first story, in which the writer got so absolutely dumpstered in the comments that they locked the post. Story 1. Here's what happened. My wife was due to fly in to one of the most popular airports in the world last night at around 9 p.m. Her landing time was 8:50 p.m. No checked luggage, so I told her I'd be there at 9 p.m. At about 8:05 p.m., she apparently started calling my phone, but unfortunately, I didn't see or hear the calls until 8:15 p.m. This is because, like her, I keep my iPhone with the little silent switch on at all times so that it just vibrates. I didn't hear the vibration because I had my gaming headset on and was gaming and talking with friends. Keep in mind, I wasn't expecting any calls from her until after she landed. When I finally realized she was calling me, I looked at my phone by chance. I picked up and she told me that her plane had landed early. In this airport? Unheard of. Then she told me to leave now. I just said, okay, I'll see you soon, and hung up. This is where the AITA comes in. I thought it was fine to finish my online match and left the house 10 minutes later. I drove to the airport and there was a ton of traffic, as usual and as expected. And I didn't pull up to where her and her friend were waiting until about 9:05. As fate would have it, that was pretty much the original time we had planned on picking her up. To make a long story somewhat shorter, my wife sprung the fact that we had to bring her friend home as well, which I was fine with. They lived a few minutes away. Everything was fine until after we dropped the friend off. Then my wife showed me how upset she was that I, quote, made her wait an extra 10 minutes and that there was a, quote, huge difference between waiting 30 minutes and waiting 40 minutes. At first, I kind of laughed it off and tried not to be upset back at her, but inside I was thinking, hello? I'm doing you a favor by driving to the airport and picking you up in the first place. Why are you getting upset over waiting 10 minutes longer than you wanted when people sometimes wait hours to be picked up at the airport? Eventually, we had a little back and forth about it, but I was just sick of arguing over something so small. To me, I wanted to just agree to disagree. And my wife was also sick of talking to me if I wasn't going to apologize. So I went to sleep. Am I the jerk? I feel like this isn't an apology-worthy event. You can't just land almost an hour early and expect your driver, even if they're your husband, to drop everything they're doing and come pick you up immediately, right? Edit 1. I was not aware of the fact that you could track arrival times of flights after they left their departing location. That's my bad. I will do better in the future. Also, someone said I'm a jerk for not missing my wife. She was gone for one night. I did not miss her in the true sense of the word. Huh! Edit 2. I literally just showed my wife some of the responses here and she had the exact response I thought she would. Because she's my wife. She laughed. Someone really thought their response to me saying that I didn't miss my wife was clever when they said, quote, show her this one too. Well, I did, and she laughed. We're adults in our 30s and we've been together for almost a decade. A night apart isn't snot to sniff at. Reddit voting unknown and locked due to violations. It got too spicy. In the comments, Imposter Shop said, you're the jerk. Hang up the video game. You literally chose that over leaving on time. I don't get the whole video game addiction. Go ahead, downvote me. If I called my partner in a similar situation, I know 1000% that he'd throw on a coat and leave. OP literally prioritized a video game over his wife. Connect Shock said, not the jerk. I'm so very confused at these you're the jerk votes. It's just 10 minutes. And I say that as someone who travels internationally on long-haul flights several times a year, so I know travel fatigue. Since I don't have a car, I often have to wait an hour or two for the airport shuttle to bring me back to my city, after which I have to walk home with the luggage. If someone was willing to pick me up from the airport and bring me home directly, I wouldn't mind waiting an extra 10 minutes. Poetically Correct said, "Why is everyone being so hard on OP? He planned his day and schedule around needing to pick her up at a certain time. Why does he have to rearrange his hobbies to accommodate her landing early? You're implying that his downtime is second to his wife's downtime. She was early. He finished what he was doing and then he left. He was technically 5 minutes late." OP replied, "That's how I looked at it. I guess my mind is broken." No, OP, your mind is not broken. I'm going to venture a guess that there were some stakes at play here. And if OP was chatting with friends, he was likely engaged in a multiplayer game. Potentially not, but let's assume he was. This means that bailing on a game would also be bailing on his friends. Not cool. And let me just climb up onto my soapbox here. What is it with people being so judgy about hobbies? He picked video games over his wife. Please, eye roll. I'm pretty sure that if his wife was at a pottery class and was finishing up a piece and didn't leave at the drop of a dime, nobody would say she picked pottery over him. Same would go for a workout or any other hobby. These are double standards, people. I'm telling you. OP, you were not the jerk. GG. Our second story goes poolside where it's all fun and games. Bikinis, glistening tans, barbecues, and cool drinks on a summer day. Until it all goes wrong, and that yellow shimmer floating on top of the water, well, that ain't lemonade. Like anyone even needs to ask who's the jerk in that, but the entitlement is strong with this next one. Story 2. So, I know from experience that Reddit isn't the most understanding towards parents of young kids, but I really just want a third-party opinion. This situation is driving me crazy, and my family are saying I need to get over it. I'm a female in my 30s, and I live with my partner and our 2 kids ages 7 and 3. My older sister, Ava, also female in her 30s, and her husband recently purchased a house in the local area. It's a super nice place with a big yard, and as you can probably guess from the title, a swimming pool. Ava recently hosted a barbecue at her place. It wasn't a huge event. She invited me, our parents, and our other siblings. She mentioned letting the kids play in the pool, so I only assumed my kids would get to be included. We are potty training, although my youngest is still in diapers at the moment. At the barbecue, I was getting my youngest ready for the pool by changing him into a swim diaper. Ava pulled me aside and told me she doesn't think it's hygienic for my youngest to play in the pool. She said it was because swim diapers don't hold pee, and she asked that he doesn't swim in the pool with the other kids playing in it. I didn't think this was fair and told Ava that lots of people, adults and kids, pee in the pool, and it would be no different at a public pool. So what's the problem? She was being really condescending and wouldn't listen to me at all, and said that he can play in the pool when he's toilet trained, saying it's not fair for other kids. At this point, my son was crying because he wanted to swim in the pool, and I told Ava she was being cold, but it's her house and her pool, so do what you want. Ava accused me of trying to guilt trip her and told me to just drop it. I was getting upset myself at this point, and I told our parents and other siblings about what Ava did. They told me it's not a big deal and that it's not worth arguing with her over, and try not to let it bother me. I wasn't happy with this because this essentially means they're siding with her and downplaying how she treated me and my son. I left the barbecue early with my family because we didn't feel welcome after that. The next day, Ava messaged me a whole paragraph and said that she's sorry that I'm upset and that she wasn't trying to exclude my son for the sake of it. It was a super non-apology, and I told her I don't want to hear it, and that she's damaged her relationship with her nephew and she's not the one who had to deal with him being upset. Ava snapped at me out of nowhere and said I'm being dramatic. I told her to grow up and said that I have a very valid reason to be mad, and she needs to stop acting like a teenager. Ava showed these messages to everyone, and everything's just a bit up in the air. I feel like I'm right here, but the rest of my family doesn't seem to agree. Reddit voted, "You're the jerk," in the comments. Someone said, "How the frack are you people voting not the jerk here? You're the jerk 100%. First and foremost, it's not your pool. It's Ava's, and it's totally reasonable for her to not want your kids to pee in it. Our coefficient replied, "Thanks, I thought I was going crazy. OP is absolutely the jerk." Quote, "Lots of people, adults and kids, pee in the pool. That's why OP Sis has a private pool with an OP policy." Maker Blue said, "Everyone sucks here. She really should have let you know beforehand that only potty-trained kids were allowed in the pool. Of course your kids were going to want to swim, and of course you didn't think it would be an issue. She should have given you a heads up so you could have prepared. Even not knowing this in advance, it's still her pool and you shouldn't have escalated it the way you did." Delivery and timing made this way more difficult than it needed to be. Telling a kid they can't have or do something that is right in front of them can be painful for everyone in earshot. We all see it at the grocery store. Even worse if their family gets to have all the fun in front of them. Ava could have easily mentioned something beforehand. That said, what kind of argument is, "Everyone pees in a public pool, so it's no biggie, right?" Hard no. Apply this logic to a bathroom. Well, nobody really cares about flushing or peeing in the bowl instead of on the seat in a public washroom, so it's no big deal if my kids leave pee all over your bathroom in your home, right? What a ridiculous argument. While I do think that Ava should have mentioned something ahead of the barbecue, I'm going to have to go with OP is the jerk, given this silly logic. Our third story was another that you just have to laugh at, only this time not at the OP, but the absurdity of one man who's a vegan. However, he's a vegan in name only because he's apparently never bothered to look in a dictionary. And we're about to tag along as this man makes a series of increasingly hilarious discoveries that he's been living a lie. Story 3. This is a weird one. At least I think so. I was spending a few days on a trip in a cabin with a couple of friends. One of them I'm acquainted with, but don't know too well. I just know that he doesn't eat meat and he claims to be vegan. I don't care if he is vegan. People can eat how they want. I think his veganism comes from him never trying foods. He eats nothing but junk food and doesn't like meat or eggs or drinking milk because it is from an animal and the texture is gross to him. Again, not my problem, his life. He eats Doritos and chips constantly. Lots of ramen noodles and mac and cheese. I don't think I've seen him eat a vegetable. I've never really seen his eating habits before this trip. First night, we were deciding what to eat. A friend suggested pizza and he agreed. I said, keeping him in mind, that we should make sure they have options with vegan cheese and meatless sauce. He was like, "What? Cheese is okay to eat. It's not meat." I told him cheese is made from milk, and he looks sick. He went on his phone and searched it up and was very upset. I thought this was common knowledge. He said that he loves pizza and pretty much lives off pizza, and that he eats tons of mac and cheese. I guess we were just assuming he had the vegan thing handled and ate vegan mac, or that cheap Kraft cheese is not even real cheese, so it didn't matter. The next day, we were ordering food. We were telling our order to one person and they'd go out and pick it up. He was asking for a sandwich with just vegan cheese, onions, and mayo and a side of fries. I said to make sure that they have vegan mayo there. Big mistake. He was upset and asked why can't he eat mayo. I said mayo is made with eggs, and he got really pissed at me and said I am ruining all the good food for him. At this point, I just stopped keeping him in mind. He made some other questionable orders of things with animal product, and I just didn't bring it up. He says I ruined food for him because he puts cheese and mayo on most things he eats. He called me a jerkhole. I don't care what the guy eats. I don't care if he claims to be vegan and eats steak every day. I was just keeping him in mind. My mother is vegetarian, so I am used to checking if things have animal product in them. Edit. I don't care that this guy identifies as vegan. I don't think less of vegans. My mom is vegetarian, and I have friends and family that are vegan. I wouldn't have asked my buddy to make sure they use vegan cheese at a restaurant if I were anti-vegan. I also don't care if he is wrong. If he wants to wave the vegan flag and eat fried chicken and ribs, okay, he's a vegan that eats meat. It's not my problem. I was just looking out for him in the moment, but quickly realized he didn't know common ingredients and didn't bring it up again. Reddit voted not the jerk. In the comments, I am Irene quoting, "I thought this was common knowledge," said, "It absolutely is common knowledge. That this person doesn't know this is a little sad, honestly. He's misdirected his anger at you because he's realized he's just kinda dumb." That's not your fault, though. You know the old saying, no good deed goes unpunished. He should have thanked you and actually researched his chosen diet. Oh well, live and learn, right? Not the jerk. Petty Penny Pincher said, not the jerk. Vegan, quote, "I don't think that word means what you think it means." Someone else said, not the jerk. "He's not vegan. He's a junkaholic." Sleepy J replied, "A vegan who hates vegetables. What a country." I'm so curious how the word vegan entered this man's vocabulary. Seriously. He must have seen it on TV and thought, vegans don't eat anything. That's it. I'm vegan. Little did he know that vegans only eat all that he despises. Unbeknownst to him, he's a vegan imposter. I could never be vegan. Fact. Meat, cheese, Doritos. And that's it for today. Until next time, shine bright, starlight. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.